Let's continue our conversation on financial ratios by looking at liquidity ratios. Liquidity ratios indicate a company's ability to pay short-term debts. They focus on current assets and current liabilities. So there's five main different types of ratios that we look at. Working capital, current ratio, quick ratio, accounts receivable ratios, and inventory ratios. I'm going to talk through what each of these mean. Working capital is looking at our current assets minus our current liabilities. Current assets include assets most likely to be converted into cash in the current operating period, so looking at a 12-month period. Current liabilities represent debts that must be satisfied in the current period. Working capital, therefore, measures the excess funds that the company will have available for operations, excluding any new funds it generates during the year. So this company's working capital dramatically increased from 2017 to 2018, but the numbers themselves say little without also considering the company's size, industry, and other economic factors. So it's hard to look at this in a vacuum without knowing more about the company. The current ratio is shown as current assets divided by current liabilities. It measures a company's short-term debt-paying ability. However, you need to interpret it with care. For example, a declining ratio may be a sign of deteriorating financial condition, or it might be a result from eliminating obsolete inventories or other stagnant current assets. So again, you can't look at this only in a vacuum. And this is how you calculate the current ratio for this company. There's no single ideal current ratio that suits all companies. In recent years, the average current ratio of the 30 companies that comprise the Dow Jones was around 1.3 to 1. The individual company ratios, however, ranged from 0.05 to 1 to 3.0 to 1. So really, when you're looking at comparing companies or year over year, you need to look at the industry they're in, the company, and their overall trends. Going back to this slide. So 3.65 to 1 means that they have $3.65 of asset to cover every $1 of liabilities. The quick or asset ratio is similar to the current ratio, except it excludes certain items. So it's a conservative variation of the current ratio, and it includes only cash, receivables, and current marketable securities. So it excludes prepaids and inventory. It measures a company's ability to meet its obligations without having to liquidate any of its inventory. Again, here's the calculation for this company, and it's read as for every $2.04 in quick assets, they have $1 in liabilities. There's a couple of different accounts receivable ratios that we're going to look at. The first is the account receivables turnover. What this tells us is how quickly credit sales are converted into cash. So here's the calculation. We're looking at net sales divided by our average receivables, and average receivables are calculated by taking the beginning of the period and the ending of the period and dividing it by 2, and then taking the net sales divided by the average receivables to get the asset turnover. So what this is telling us is that receivables get turned into cash every 16.98 times per year versus 14.41 times last year. Then we can take our accounts receivable turnover to calculate our average days to collect receivables. You're going to take 365 days divided by the accounts receivable turnover, and here we're looking at 21 days. So on average in 2018, they were able to collect those receivables every 21 days. Is this good or bad? Well, we need to understand their collection policy. If their collection policy is net 30, then this would be good because they're actually collecting their cash sooner than the 30 days that they tell their customers that they need that cash. We're looking at similar ratios for inventory. First is the inventory turnover, which looks at how many times a company's inventory has been sold and replaced during the year. It's the cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Generally, the higher turnover indicates that merchandise is being handled more efficiently. Trying to compare firms in different industries, however, can be misleading. Inventory for grocery stores and many retail outlets is most usually higher than inventory turnover for appliance or jewelry stores. And again, the average days to sell inventory is taking the 365 days in the period divided by the inventory turnover. So here, they're able to sell inventory on average within 34 days. Next, we're going to look at solvency ratios in the next video.